he gonna get caught. He'll pop out on you. He get there too quick.
If I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet?
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis? Experts are calling it dangerous, insane, and even a threat to boxing itself. From Eddie Hearn to Amir Khan, everyone has a warning, but will Jake listen? Or is he walking into disaster? Many experienced boxing experts have warned Jake Paul not to step into the ring with Gervonta Tank Davis. Recent training clips show Davis punching with lightning speed and explosive power. Analysts say the fight is dangerous, not only because of the huge size difference but also because it could hurt boxing's reputation. They insist Paul must treat Davis as a real fighter, not just a smaller opponent. The footage shows Davis is fast, sharp, and skilled at trapping opponents. If Paul takes him lightly, it could be a serious mistake.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis, there's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement. I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Promoter Eddie Hearn has also strongly warned Jake Paul about facing Davis. According to Hearn, this fight could have devastating consequences for Paul's health. He called it a clear mismatch, stressing that even though the fight would make big money, Paul's safety is at risk. Hearn believes Paul could lose much more than just his record. His well-being is on the line.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight. But I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Former UFC champion Daniel Cormier shared a mixed opinion. He respected how far Paul has come, saying Jake has built his name well, even landing deals with Netflix. But Cormier also pointed out the obvious problem, the size difference. Davis fights around 133 pounds, while Paul weighs nearly 200 pounds. If Davis wins, Paul's career could be destroyed. On the other hand, if Davis loses, it could embarrass him for life. That makes this fight a huge gamble for both men.
When the Disruptor Challenge is a legend, guys, anything can happen. When a kid that was on YouTube and on Disney walked in there and said, I'm going to be a professional boxer, Jake Paul needs to be commended for that. He had a vision, and he honestly executed better than anyone ever could have expected. But sometimes you want something so badly that you don't recognize the dangers that come with wanting that thing and then getting that thing. Now Jake Paul has gotten himself to a point where he's fighting someone that could truly, truly end his career. Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the scariest, most dangerous fighters to ever step foot in the squared circle. For me, it's pretty simple. Jake Paul, in the Mike Perry fight, he got a great appetizer for what he will get in the main event. A fighter that starts very fast, that thinks to take your head off, and you have to kind of match the intensity to ultimately get your shots off. Jake Paul today announced that he has signed with the PFL.
The PFL.
A couple weeks ago, Jake Paul and I were messaging each other about an appearance on my show, DC and RC. Just kind of talking about his future. And honestly, Jake and I have had some run-ins. When I started talking to him and I'm messaging him, he's a kid that's very respectful. And we had respectful conversations. He has an idea what he wants to do. Now, these kids today are different, right? So he's very boisterous. He's very verbal. He speaks big. But will Jake Paul actually fight in the PFL? A lot of boxers say they're going to fight, but they never actually do. Here's the thing about Jake Paul, though. He's from Ohio. Ohio has some of the best high school wrestling. Jake Paul was a high school wrestler there. So was his brother, Logan. They weren't bad. I believe this one, he'll actually fight.
Ex-world champion Froch also raised alarms. He mentioned the dangerous 65-pound weight gap, Paul at nearly 200 pounds versus Davis at 135 pounds. Froch admitted Davis has better boxing skills, but Paul's size and power could seriously hurt him. He explained that Davis is not used to taking punches from someone that big. Many in boxing see this fight as more of a circus act than a real contest. Safety and credibility are both in question.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself. And the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer. He never will be. And he proves time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. Swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level. And then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds, like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode. But I hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in. And I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting. And we'll see you very soon.
Ryan Garcia didn't hold back either. He called the matchup insane and said it makes boxing look fake, like WWE wrestling. Garcia believes fights like this ruin the sport's credibility and make it hard for fans to take boxing seriously. In his words, boxing is officially WWE now.
Today we're going to talk about the boxing world and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 65-plus smaller guy than him in Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65-plus weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that's, you know, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, you know, he's got a 40-year age gap between them? You know, why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, you know, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring and Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, you know, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 220 weight range. So, you know, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. You know, he claims to want to be a real fighter, but, you know, he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting, you know, top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. You know, he fights, you know, these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So, you know, I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and, you know, this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who, you know, is on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So, you know, I think it's ironic, though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed if they weren't, allegedly? So, I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Amir Khan also slammed the fight, calling it disgusting. He highlighted the big weight and height differences, Paul around 200 pounds and 8 inches taller than Davis, who fights at 135 pounds. Khan said such fights are unsafe, unfair, and should never be sanctioned. He also praised promoter Turki Alalshik for refusing to back YouTube-style exhibitions that put money over fighter safety.
On a guy who's obviously a lot heavier than him, but in an exhibition fight. What are your thoughts on this fight?
A really bad mismatch. And you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. Yeah? I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis. But like, say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You don't know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, I think they're making boxing a joke, really. Yeah. One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly, then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.
Michael Bisping went straight to the point, calling Jake Paul a bully. He compared the size gap to when Paul talks about fighting Canelo Alvarez, noting a 60-pound and 7-inch difference. Bisping criticized Paul for targeting smaller fighters, saying it's embarrassing and makes Paul look like he's avoiding real competition. According to Bisping, Paul's strategy is not about proving himself, it's just using size to his advantage.
How can you be claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It's like, dude, what are you doing? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you, take you seriously, and give you credit as a boxer, you have to go up against someone that keeps it night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for it, because the fear of them beating you down is real.
Bisping has repeatedly accused Paul of carefully choosing weaker or smaller opponents, making fights look more like shows than fair contests. He also said Paul acts more like a businessman than a real fighter, focusing on money and attention instead of real challenges. YouTube star KSI also jumped in, calling the Davis matchup a disgrace to boxing. KSI believes Jake is dodging him and choosing easy fights instead. His comments show he's frustrated and still pushing for a real fight between him and Paul.
Gervonta not filling the rematch clause and just fighting Jake Paul and that whole situation and reaction of the fight itself.
I feel people people got issues because it's 200 million mandatory or either go fight for 5 million. It's a no-brainer. Like, what's it's a no-brainer.
A hard fight.
And with prize fighters, they prize fight.
Right.
The prize is big, and he's gonna retire soon. So you got 200 million right here, and you're about to retire soon, or either a $5 million.
Wait a minute. Kid said he disagreed. Why did he disagree?
I think it's just from a fighter standpoint. And on top of that, he got to draw. It's not like you won. Like you won and you gonna go fight Jake Paul. You got to draw, man. You got to go get that bag.
Why? It was a cherry pick.
I mean, it was a cherry pick, and you didn't look
hold
good.
on.
So you got to.
I mean, look, with Jake, the guy's been ducking me or running away from me for so long, man. Like, he's just making excuse after excuse, and now he's fine. He wants to fight Tank. I mean, it just says the type of guy Jake Paul is. He only fights someone if he has a major advantage. Anything that's close, or anything that could actually be a decent fight, he runs away from it. So